Hi guys, so this is a tutorial for creating brushes inside Photoshop. So if you're a first time user or you're new to the software, you should probably go to Window, Workspace and Essentials, or Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. So we are both working on the same workspace here. So yeah, let's start by opening up the brush panel. You can go to Window and Brush, and here's the panel. I'll just drag it out here in the center. So you can open it up by either pressing F5 to open and close it, or to go to Window and Brush to open and close it. I found that F5 works way better for me. So I also assume that you have a pen tablet, a pressure sensitive pen tablet, because I will work with some settings that require you to have a pressure sensitive pen tablet. Okay, yeah, so we have 13 little options here that you can adjust. Each has a window of its own, as you can see here: the texture, the dual brush, color dynamics, transfer, brush pose. From brush pose downwards you only have to check in boxes, so it's really simple from there. Okay, we will touch upon only a few options here. We won't discuss the entire spectrum of adjustments. We will only create 8 painting brushes this time, so we start out by the simplest adjustments and we go through the first few windows here. Okay, so let's start by creating a sketching brush. We are going to create our first sketch brush by adjusting an existing brush inside Photoshop. So let's pick the fourth brush. This is a nice pressure sensitive brush inside of Photoshop. I hope that you have a pressure sensitive tablet. So from here we can go and create a nice calligraphy graph out of this. So we open up brush with F5 or window brush. We go here at brush tip shape and adjust its angle to -25 degrees and its roundness to 40%. We want to decrease its spacing because, as you can see, the higher the spacing is, the rougher the brush looks, and the lower the spacing is, the smoother it looks. So we are done here and we move on to shape dynamics. You can choose the size jitter control to be on pen pressure. If you don't have a tablet, it is going to be something like this, but if you have one, you have to put it on pen pressure here. Okay, so we have a nice calligraphy brush here. So now that we are done, we want to save it, right? So we go in the lower right corner. This is this little file button, create new brush says. You click on it, a window pops up, so you can name your brush. It's sketch brush 1. Okay. So from now on, every time you want to choose your brush, let's say you work with this one, right? Every time you want to choose your brush, you just go here and choose your brush. Right click on the canvas and choose your brush. Or you can go up here and choose your brush here at the bottom. Or you can open up the brush panel and here you can choose your brush. This is it. Okay. So our second brush, we are going to create it a bit different. We are going to create it from scratch, and what you need to do for this is to have a white background, your brush selected, and black as your foreground color. So you select the brush we made previously and start to draw a shape here on the canvas. You can follow exactly what I'm doing or just make up your own shape. It really doesn't matter that much. Okay, let's stick to this shape or something like this. Okay. Yeah. So we go to edit, define brush preset, name our brush sketch brush 2, and we have the brush. This brush we have here is basically unusable, so we have to go back to the brush panel and adjust it. Let's go to the brush panel by pressing F5, and we leave everything we have here the same. We go to shape dynamics and make sure that the size jitter control is on pen pressure. Okay, so this time we are going to introduce a new setting. It will be the angle jitter. So the angle jitter control this time will be on direction. Okay, let's see what this brush does. As you can see, this one is a bit more textured, it's a bit more traditional. It has that pencil, almost that pencil feel to it, like a nice sharp hard pencil. So check it out and see if this one works for you. The third brush we want to create is a triangular brush, which is good to sketch hard surface objects. So we start out by going to the polygon tool. We choose the polygon tool, we make sure that it has 3 sides. You draw out a triangle on your canvas and you place it in the middle. So again we go to edit, define brush preset, we name our brush triangle brush, and we can delete that one and we can choose it from the brush presets. So here is what we have right now. This is not very great, but we will adjust it in a second. So open up the brush panel, once again F5. At brush tip shape we decrease the spacing and we go to transfer and make sure that the flow jitter control is set on pen pressure while the opacity jitter control is off. We add noise and it's done. You can try it out, see how it feels. It's really great to sketch hard surface stuff with it. Our fourth brush is going to be a Quickie rectangle brush. So this one has a lot more texture to it. It has it's like nice artsy painterly brush. It feels great to sketch with it. So compared to this one, the default one, which you have in Photoshop, it's way better. It gives you a lot more texture. It looks a lot more natural and traditional. So let's start out by again going to the shapes. This time you choose rectangle tool and draw out a black rectangle on the center of your canvas. Okay. Now You create another layer on top of this layer and you choose a texture brush like a chalk brush or something similar to that one. With white you start painting in the shapes I'm painting right now. Stay as close as possible to this shape, and once you get it, you can create your own shapes and they will look nice also. So you can change the opacity in the meantime when you're drawing the shapes. Like if you're going here, you're going to need low opacity, and here a higher one. Okay, let's see. Okay, start opacity, do something like this. Okay, another layer. To add more texture to it, we are going to just cross all over it, just like this. Okay, yeah, awesome. Maybe we need a bit more black here. Okay, yeah, nice. Now once we have this shape here in place, it's not good. Okay, now once we have this shape here in place, we go once again to edit, define brush preset, Quickie brush. Okay, now we have this brush. Let's put it on 100% opacity. Now we have this brush, but it really means nothing right now. So let's adjust it. F5 or window brush, you go to the shape dynamics and you make sure that the size jitter control is on pen pressure and the angle jitter control is on direction here. So if it was on off, you put it on pen pressure, you put it on direction. Okay, so you go to the transfer, you make sure that the flow jitter control is on pen pressure and you don't have the opacity jitter control on pen pressure. And you put in smoothing. So let's see what we got now. The fifth brush is going to be a smooth painting brush. So we start out by choosing a more textured brush like the one right here. Let's say we increase the scattering a bit, count, put some transfer maybe, and we start by drawing a blob. Okay, it's really no one way to do it. You have to experiment with different texture brushes from your basic brush palette. Okay. You can play with the opacity too. Here, if you want it darker, you go higher. If you want it more translucent, you go lower. Let's see. What you want to do here is to create an interesting pattern. You just want to play with many different brushes. Make the pattern as interesting and as complicated as you can. What's up with this one? Okay. So something along these lines I think should work. We are getting closer. Maybe just choose the basic brush, bring down its opacity and do some shapes here. Okay, let's see if this works. So again, define brush preset. We don't even name it at this point. We just choose it. Let's see how this works. Okay. Let's see. So F5 to customize your brush, and you go straight to dual brush. Here you will choose, let me find that one. You will choose this one. Let's increase the scatter a bit, like right about here, and let's increase the count. Let's see if 3 works. Okay, now what you want to do is to set the mode on overlay. Set the transfer to pen pressure. Back to the dual brush. Do some more adjustments here. Let's increase its size a bit. Decrease the spacing. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, something like this. So you can tweak it around a bit more to find the perfect one for you. I found that this one works pretty okay for me. So let's save it. You name it smooth pattern. ink brush. Okay, so test it a little bit, play around with it and see if this one works for you. Okay, so our sixth brush is going to be an oil painting brush. This is where the real fun begins. So what we want to do, first of all, we want to make a selection, something along these lines. Okay, now create a new layer and choose a soft edge brush. Open up the brush palette and go to noise. Apply some noise and increase the spacing a little bit. Now with the black foreground color, we are going to paint our shape in. We want to make this nice and textured, but not overly so. So pay attention to the edges. Okay. Let's see, let's adjust a bit. Bring down the roundness and adjust its angle a bit. Okay, let's put it back in place. I want the gray tone to touch the selection's edges, but not very much. So just a tiny bit. Okay. Make your shape as interesting as possible. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, it's pretty nice, pretty nice. Let's work some more here because it seems too dark for me. Doesn't need to be this dark. This is best to do with the cloud brushes, really, to add some cloud texture to it, but we don't have cloud brushes yet. I'm going to show you how to make them last. So, okay, let's see how this works. Let's erase a bit from those edges because they seem too harsh for me. And here too. Here's some more. Okay. Cool. So, define brush preset. And we have this shape to work with. Okay, let's go into the brush panel and start working on it. So the first thing we want to do is to go into the shape dynamics and make sure that the size jitter control is on pen pressure, angle is on direction, and yeah, that's all. So from here we go to the texture. You want to choose the artist surfaces and choose the first one. Set it on color dodge, use a scale of 50, and everything else remains the same. So dual brush, you want to choose, let me find it, just a second, this is the one. Okay, so these are the settings you see here. It's 40% for the spacing, around 40%. The size, we will see about that later. And let's move forward. You want the transfer to be, the flow to be on pen pressure, and smoothing to be on. So let's go back to dual brush because this is the trickier part. We want this to be nice. Okay, let's leave the count on 4. Let's make some tests with it. Okay, this is the one. So you can tweak it around a bit more, of course, if you like. You would like it to look a bit different or something, you're going for another effect, but I found that this one works pretty good for me. So if you use like small brush strokes, it definitely conveys the style of oil painting, and it has that really nice traditional feel to it. It's really gliding through the surface really nicely. So yeah, check it out. The seventh brush is going to be a texture brush. It's a grid texture brush, so you can apply texture and noise to your paintings. I will show you an application too once we are done. So let's start with making a pattern. Choose a soft edge brush and start making small dots on the canvas like this. Lower a bit the opacity and you want to create a circle, almost like a circle here. Okay, so this should do it. Let's select it, let's enlarge it a bit. Okay, so as you can see, if you enlarge it, it got a bit more blurry. So that's okay for us. We want that to happen. Okay. Bit more. Okay, let's take this one. So you go up to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur, and you give it a bit of a blur. You don't want to be, You don't want it to be that crispy. So before and after. Okay, this should do it. So up to edit, define brush preset, and what we have here is this. Now this is not very usable. Maybe you could use it like this in stems, but I'll show you the settings so it becomes a bit more easier. So okay, let's go up to shape dynamics. You want the size jitter control to be on pen pressure. You want the minimum diameter to be around here, 30. You give it a bit of an angle jitter, like so. You want a bit of roundness, so. And we are done here. We are going to scattering. So let's scale it up a bit. And round here. Yeah, let's leave it around here. Let's go to transfer. Let's put on both of these and let's apply some noise to it. So what happens is this. You can apply nice grit texture with this one. So let me show you an application of this brush here, but before we lose it we have to save it. And save it texture brush. Okay, so let's start out by drawing a sphere. Let's say we'll draw a sphere here, like so. Put a noise in the soft brush. Okay, so the light is coming from here. Okay, as soon as we established our light source, we can start lighting our sphere. So let's say here is where the light hits. Here would be our core shadow, and here is our half tone. Like that. So let's draw in some bounce light from below. Maybe a bit more. It's a white surface, so like that. Okay, so you get the idea. Maybe a bit more pronounced. I should pronounce that core shadow a bit more, maybe. Okay, something along these lines. Now, let's apply the texture to it. You make another layer and drawing the highlights like this. The texture goes into the halftone. You can find the most texture there, like so. Maybe some texture here. Okay. So now we have a nice concrete ball in front of us. This was before and this is after. Before, after, before and after. And you can exaggerate the texture a bit more if you like it, but I think you get the idea. So yeah, this is the texture brush. Play around with it and hope you like it. Okay, so our last one will be a cloud brush, something similar to this one here, the last brush, something like this, you know, for dust and clouds and that sort of stuff. So let's start out by going to filter, render and clouds. Once you click, select the foreground color to black and let's try again. Under clouds. Okay, this is what should show up. Let's enlarge a part of this that we want to make into a brush, and let's start with erasing with the soft eraser. We are erasing away the edges of this. Make sure that there are no black shapes at the edge of the image, because that will show up in the brush. So yeah, something like this. Or you can do it in the shape you want to do it, or you can take a photograph of some clouds and that's even better. And we go to edit, define brush preset, we have the brush right here and we apply some settings to it. So let's hit F5 and go to shape dynamics, size jitter, control is off, it's 20% the size jitter, minimum diameter is 30%, angle 100%, roundness 5, minimum roundness. You can play around with it. So let's put the transfer in. You can choose to put the flow, the opacity, or you can put both. And as you can see here, this is how this looks. It's really soft. You can play around, paint some smoke or something. It's really fast and easy. Okay. So this was my tutorial on brushes. If you liked it, you can go to pixelstains.net and you can find some more tutorials there on composition and painting and that sort of stuff. And you can find the download link below in the description. So I've written an article about this and I've also made this video. If something's unclear, you can check out the article too. I apologize for my poor English. My verbal skills are not that great. English is not my first language, and I still struggle with pronouncing some words. So yeah, hope you like this. Feel free to comment, subscribe, or share the video. And yeah, so until next time, bye bye.